Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Marketfy. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Brianna Valesky, and we have the birthday boy on the line, Alan Brochstein. Happy 39th birthday.
No, this is the big one, half a century.
Oh, really? Okay, all right.
Official member of AARP.
All right, man. Your life is half over. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm pretty excited. I got 50 more years then. That sounds great. This last year took about 10 off of me, quite frankly. But
the last year took 10 years off your life, huh? Okay.
I'm just kidding. It's just been such a roller coaster, as you're well aware.
I hope you didn't take my joke too serious there. Everyone on the desk is laughing because I said that. I hope you didn't take it too seriously. All right. So you're the author of the 420 investment letter talking about marijuana stocks, and it's been a hot sector, cooled down a little bit. But before we get into individual issues and whatnot, what's going on, in Washington? Anything going on the government front or individual states?
Yeah, it's still pretty much a state-by-state thing. When you say Washington, it's kind of interesting. We have Washington State implementing out west, and that's I would call that a subpar implementation. I was at a conference out in California and got to hear firsthand from some of the experts there what's going on. But then on the other side of the country, we have Washington, D.C., which those Republicans are trying their hardest to stamp it out, but they just can't do it. And it's now actually legal to possess, but unfortunately they don't have a legal distribution system at all, production and distribution. So it's not a perfect scenario, but I think the next really, really big things will be the 2016 presidential election, because the whole fundamental underpinning of the market right now is that the federal government's taking a hands-off approach, and the next president could either take a step backwards, which obviously would be bad, but maybe could take a step forward as well. So that'll be interesting. And then also, I think almost everybody can appreciate that the cannabis capital of the United States is California, and they have a medical system there that's about 20 years old, but it's not very well implemented. It's pretty much the Wild West out there, and it's very possible that they will be voting to legalize cannabis. Then they're going to have to fix their system, but I think that is really the next huge thing ahead.
Okay, when we talk about this sector, we talk about the best in breed here, and stock that gets most of the coverage. GWPH, comments on GW Pharmaceuticals. Nice run up to 85.
Yeah, I need to hire you. When I was on last month, and by the way, I really appreciate being on, but you got to make Dennis stick around. I really like being on with Dennis too. But
to pick on him as well. Okay,
yeah, I'm kidding about that. But no, I do like. If you recall, we talked about the chart last time, and it ended up doing exactly what you said. It dropped down just a little bit, and then it took off. So
all right, wow,
we were set up right for that, and I like this one. I think if you look at the weekly chart,
okay,
I believe that it had a breakout 2 weeks ago and held it this last week, and giving a little bit of a test right now. But I'm on the line here saying I think we're going to test up towards 96 to 100 over the next couple of months.
And is that your target, 96 to 100? It did spread.
Just a trading target. I mean, we talked about this last time. I think this company ultimately, if they can get Epidiolex approved by the FDA, it's a $4 billion company minimum, and that would be more than a double from here. But that's going to take a few years.
Do you have any time frame on that? Any time frame on that?
Well, like I said, I think 2017,
wow,
probably a couple of years.
Okay.
To actually have that fully play out in terms of, they're in phase 3 clinical trials now, but it'll have to go through the FDA and all that. So I think that's basically it. They'll have to file. There'll be a review. So complete the trials, file, review. We're talking 2017.
Wow. Do you keep track of the daily dates? Do you have a calendar with the different companies and things like that? I know the biotech is littered with it, and probably a little bit more. This doesn't come out, as often. Is that something you kind of keep on the radar?
What doesn't come out as often? I'm sorry.
With the marijuana stocks, I mean, there is some regulatory approval, and I guess with Epidiolex, there's drug approvals and stuff, but there's not as much as, I mean, if you're following the whole biotech sector, it's littered
Right.
with different dates.
Yeah. No. Well, unfortunately, look, these stocks for the most part are penny stocks. Some of them, fortunately, report, but a lot of them don't. Uh, we're lucky if they just report on time. So I do a pretty good job of tracking the reporting dates. In the Canadian stocks, they're a little bit different than the U.S. reporting dates. So we do have somewhat of a calendar, but there aren't that many events. Elections seem to be more important, obviously. Also, implementation dates, but for state medical marijuana programs. But these things are the deadlines there are rolling. I mean, since we last spoke, Illinois. There was a real risk there that they were going to go backwards. There was a new governor there, and the old governor was supposed to announce all these, I think, 21 cultivators and 58 dispensaries, and he didn't do it. And the new guy is against medical marijuana, kind of like Hickenlooper in Colorado, but he kind of surprised us, and just out of the blue in early February, they handed out the licenses.
Okay, talking about Canadian stocks here. Creative Edge Nutrition. Whew, this thing is getting awful low here. Doesn't look. Is it just that?
I think it's very unlikely. I mean, since the last time I was on, the company received a denial letter from Health Canada. They have 20 days to respond. Part of their response, I guess, was to ask for what's called judicial review. I don't see how that thing ever gets approved, but the Canadian opportunity is really exciting. They're coming up on their 1-year anniversary of their new program. They have about 17,000 patients that they've added to this new program, which might be a little disappointing to some. But my favorite company right now in the sector is Bedrocan Cannabis.
And okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, sure. The symbol in the United States is BNRDF. Everybody needs to understand it doesn't trade in the United States. That's a convenience ticker, but you can look at the chart at least to get a sense. The real symbol is BED on the Toronto Venture Exchange, BED. And but Bedrocan, BNRDF, gives you a sense. And remember, the Canadian dollar's been very weak, so that impacts that chart a little bit. And so, they have a partnership with Bedrocan NV, which has been the monopoly provider in Holland. And I think this is going to be a global brand, and they're really going about this Canadian market very differently from everybody else. And there are a few companies that are truly treating it as a medical product, but I don't think anybody as much as Bedrocan. And they only offer 5 strains. I mean, a recreational user would have no interest in that. They'd want to have cool names, not like Bedropure. But definitely a real medical focus. And the company got some great news this week. I think it was expected last week, I should say. But they had an import license where they were importing the product from the Netherlands into Canada, and while they were building a facility in Canada. And Health Canada has been really tough on handing out things, so I'm sure there was a little bit of a chance it wouldn't happen. But they approved this facility, so now they'll be growing in Canada. And so that took away a lot of the risk of the story. And the stock went up on that news, and then it pulled all the way back. And I don't think people realize this, but there was a very large block trade that took place on Thursday, and it was reported after the market in Canada, over 1 million shares. It was a strategic buyer, a buyer who's participated in some of these other LPs. And so I think that the sell the news reaction's over. And for people who really want to pick the best in breed, that's a good one right here.
Okay, can you just do a quick rundown here on some of the U.S. stocks? I think you mentioned MBOX. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so Medbox is one. Anybody that's been following the cannabis space for a few years knows there's just a handful of names out there that have been very disappointing. They were kind of the early players. All of them have been disappointing. And I just, in my book, this will be a whole chapter on Medbox. And the stock has had just a horrific plunge. And for anybody that follows it, they should just realize what can happen. And it turns out that the founder, as well as the former CEO, were margin called just tremendously in February, and the stock. This is the stock that went up to like $200 after Colorado legalized. There's only a few hundred shares, but had a couple of runs at 100, and now it's withering at all-time lows below $2, and really kind of a great story on how you need to get behind the fundamentals and understand the company and not fall for the hype.
Okay, we got another minute or two here. We're on with Alan Brochstein. He's the author of the 420 Investment Letter. Following the cannabis sector, is there anything on your buy radar here in the U.S. markets?
You know, I have to say, I have to be really careful because It's been a tough market. From day one, I've warned about the valuations. But and then that doesn't necessarily mean anything. The stocks can go up a lot. They can go from high valuation to a lot higher valuation. But I'm actually starting to see, this is my goal, to find just a few companies for now and wait for some really good ones to come along. And that's been a slow process. There is a new company that just went through the S1 process that I've been talking to my subscribers about. I'm excited about that. It's not quite ready for prime time. It just started trading. But I will say this, some of the companies that we're following have been falling. I've said all along, the valuations are still a bit high, but these companies are executing. And we have companies that are getting closer and closer to doing what cannabis investors want, which is to actually grow and or sell cannabis. And we have some companies that are doing that, TerraTech being one of them, won a bunch of licenses in Nevada. But I think this is a really exciting time, and the valuations, I'm not going to say that they're so low yet, but they're getting close, and we will get some new names as well.
Okay, got one quick question here before we let you go. And do you see the marijuana plant being pure or altered by some Monsanto-type company in the future?
Yeah, it's possible. Not right now, because it's really hard to do. It's federally illegal. When we have federal legalization, that'll certainly be a question. I know a lot of people. Look, I follow a lot of companies that are into organic. Like in Canada, there's a few companies that they're actually what do you call those? The trade groups, the organic trade groups actually certify these companies. So I think that'll always be an issue, and I can imagine that being a very controversial issue, but not something we have to worry about right now because it's federally illegal. So you won't see Monsanto mess it up for now. But yeah, in the future, that could be an issue.
Okay, we've been on the line with Alan Brochstein. He's a Marketfy maven and author of the 420 Investment Letter. He joins us every couple months to give us his insight on the pot market. Thanks a lot, Alan. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.